especially in tongue. No one couldn't walk alone. Tongue was like a battle zone. But nowadays and so, I am all shocked to know.
Nowadays, everybody looking for an opportunity to make a little bit extra money. And how do we do that is very, very important, because you want to make investments, but you want to make the right investments. Don't be fooled. This morning, the TTPS joins us on now in the form of Inspector Michelle Lewis to let us know how we can look out for investment fraud. Good morning to you, Inspector.
Good morning, Marcus. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning.
And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
How are we doing this morning, Inspector?
We are good, and we want persons to know that wise investments, legitimate investments are the way to go.
Wise and legitimate. Let's start right there and speak about the proper definition of a legitimate investment.
So a legitimate investment would have been one that you went through, you checked with a legitimate company, financial company, or a business advisor who is legitimate and whose proposal is also sound and legitimate. Meaning that you would have done some checks and realized that this is in fact so, the company is registered, the bonds and whatever are registered, and so you can afford to put your money there. When it is not legitimate or when it is fraud is when it is to the contrary. So someone comes along and pretending to have a legitimate business, but truth and in fact, they really want to scheme you out of your finances. So this morning, that is what we are looking at, financial investment fraud, and how we can prevent it.
Tell us how we prevent it, Inspector.
Well, one of the common ways that we have been seeing in the organization is the romance fraud.
Oh.
Where persons would meet someone online and the confidence and that relationship would have started.
They build a rapport online.
And that trust. And then after that, they start to ask the person, well, you know, this deal is coming up. You know, I can help you make some money and that kind of thing. And so you haven't gained that trust from that person who you have not seen and met online. You allow that person, give that person your banking information, or you send money online to this person.
That's interesting. So I like the way you spun it with, I have this deal coming up, because automatically what first came to my mind was, you know, well, I have some bills to pay. I need assistance, you know, that sort of thing. So we've seen a change to how we approach.
Yes,
well,
because it is investment
how people approach.
as opposed to help. So if you have a bill, you're asking somebody to help you with clear your bill.
Yeah.
But if it's an investment, it means that you're going to invest the money for a higher return, which is different.
So it's come like I say, Natasha, I have an opportunity here, girl. You're going to make a little extra money, pay not 10,000.
Yes.
And next week, in 2 weeks, you will get back at 30,000.
Correct.
Okay.
So just as we know the Ponzi scheme is similar. The romance scheme is more intimate, hence its name. And so that level of trust and confidence is built so that you can hand that person over the amount of money that they're asking for.
All right, so what are the warning signs? What are we looking out for?
So in those cases, most of the times it's a deal that now come.
Okay.
And so they want you to give them that money now. They don't want you to get no set of information about it. They want you to go into it now. If you ask you to let me get some data, some information about it, it's, you know, it's like, no, you have to deal with it now. Immediately, otherwise you would lose the deal. So once you realize that that is the modus operandi of the person, then you start to take it back a bit.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, it's a red flag. And start to ask some questions. Ask somebody, also a friend or a relative, you know, if you think this is good, you know, and from there to tell you that it isn't. If you think that it is a fraud, of course you have the Trinidad and Tobago Fraud Squad, you have the Security Exchange Commission, TT, and of course the FIU of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So there are means where if you have the opinion that you are going to be involved in a criminal offense where you are the victim, you can seek advice as well from the police.
Okay.
Just to give that.
So we've spoken about romance investment fraud.
Yes.
What other forms of investment fraud are
We
there?
spoke also of the affinity, which is the Ponzi and the pyramid scheme, where you give a certain amount of money, and the arrangement is when you give this money as an investment, you're going to make back 10 times the amount of money.
Sounds too good to be
Usually,
true.
and correct. That is exactly it. So it sounds too good to be true. More than likely, it is not true. And most times, for you to get back that money, you have to invest some more.
Or bring some friends.
Yes, which is as investing more.
Yeah.
So what you're actually doing is paying off the debt of the persons who came before you. And then so by the time that scheme starts to flop, it's when your money is there and you get no return. And so that is one of another type of investment fraud where we see persons losing money.
What are the red flags we look out for in that one?
Again, if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is not true.
But you see, Inspector, by that definition, right? If I pay $5 for a lotto, I could win $2 million. That's something too good to be true.
And the lotto is a registered or regulated organization.
All right. Okay,
And so if it is not registered,
so that's the
and
first thing we should be looking
regulated,
for. Registration, making sure it's a legitimate business.
Right. So even if you invest, for example, in bonds, let us say a company, so there's the, where, for example, in relation to fraud, where a company may establish and you being the fraudster would buy a certain amount of shares in the company, in the company, and of course come selling the rest of the shares. So they are seeing that there is growth because they are not recognizing that you're the person who bought all the shares. And so when it has reached a certain peak, you now pull out all your shares and you take all your money and then it plummets. So therefore you now, as the outside investor, the one who was scammed, have shares that worth nothing. Right? So that is also another type of investment fraud that we see.
How do we block from that one?
Yeah.
Because as you say, does the stock exchange get involved there?
Right, but the company is not real.
Okay.
The company is not real. So the person comes to you selling it to you.
So they're selling you stocks that's not going to the Security Exchange
Correct.
Commission?
Okay.
So this is why we are
that's
saying,
a big red flag.
Yeah, so that's so in other words, they want to be your agent, they will take the money for you and do everything for you.
So what comes to my mind now is we see a lot of people who are investing online. We see a lot of exchanges going on there. So how do we stop ourselves from being frauded in that capacity? Because this is something that is on the rise.
Yes, it is. And so, because a lot of things are online, you also have the crypto, right? So persons generally, people want to do something with the money. They want to see it multiply because there are so many things that you want that.
Got bills to pay.
Yeah. So, you want to see how you could multiply that money and make good financial investments. And so a sound financial advisor is the way to go. One. Two, keep checking the system, the online, the different online platforms to verify that the information is actually true and correct.
Right. Okay.
And don't just go into anything that you see just pop up and sounds really amazing. So when we look at the crypto in Trinidad and Tobago, it is not regulated, unlike some other countries like Canada. So investing in crypto in Trinidad and then going to the Security Exchange or one of the organizations to say, well, this has happened to me. It's not regulated like a tender, legal tender, like money.
Right.
So it's difficult to be able to target, right? And we do have, as you know, crypto fraud taking place as well.
Yes.
And we're also seeing AI fraud also, where someone being impersonating someone's voice. So, and call and say, well, I am this person, do this, and send this money to this account.
Right.
And so with the use of technology and AI and impersonation of someone else's voice, you believe in this person to be true based on the impersonation through AI, and you, of course, allow your money to go. So there are several ways where we are seeing that persons are making investment, and at the end of it, it's a fraudulent investment, and persons are losing large sums of money. We have seen just for the year over $200,000, well, from January to the 5th of February through the fraud squad, but $200,000 in relation to recent reports that we got through fraud squad.
Okay.
Wow.
And when you look at it, most of it are through online.
Okay. A lot of technological
So
advancement.
you haven't seen the person at all, and yeah.
And you send them money, or is it that you use your credit card online and you get...
Yeah, well, they send it your credit card or
Right.
your transfer, as the case may be.
So let's say we're the victim of fraud. What are the next steps that we take in order to report?
Right, so you're a victim of fraud, you go to the police station, so we have the fraud squad office. You can send an email to fraudsquad@ttps.gov.tt, And also you can visit the office as well, and I can give you the numbers as well. So you give a report. So in everything that you do, so the person, whatever information the person would have given to you, their name, their address and all that. Now sometimes person give you a business card, it's not an authentic business. So even if somebody comes to you and say, this is my business card, and I have a business, ask the person to see their ID as well to make sure that the name on the business card is the name of somebody that is real and true. So the ID card would authenticate the business card to their name and not just say, because people, we have to be wise, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you can contact the fraud squad. So I'll give you some of the numbers here. And you give the police all the information that you possibly can. All the times that the person would have contacted you, the conversation that the person would have had with you, what the person said to you, whether they asked you to wire transfer, what bank, what was the name of the person. Because even though it may not be the actual person who you know, there is a legitimate bank account that it went to that we can do the tracing to be able to start the investigation and charge somebody eventually.
Unless it's a cash investment, and then you have a different problem altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Ponzi scheme and the pyramid schemes a lot of times are cash investments. So fraud is 625-2310, 623-2644, and the South office is 652-8594. So we want to encourage persons to think hard and long before you give away your hard-earned money. Yes, you want to make some investments, but think solid on it and ask advice from your family, some friends, and call the different agencies that I spoke of to get some advice to make sure that that money doesn't
disappear.
Yeah.
Look out for them red flags. That's key too.
Very important. Inspector, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you for enlightening us as well as to investment fraud and how far it does actually go. That's the TTPS right here every Monday morning on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. Coming up after this break, it's time for your birthdays.